And we're back for our daily NBA best bets here on Sunday, January 18th. We've got 6 games today in the National Basketball Association. We are going to be betting on every single one at least. We're going to have a bet for every single game except for one. And the one game I'm not touching today, the Los Angeles Lakers. I will say this. I believe Lakers moneyline actually is kind of playable tonight. Luka's definitely playing. He just didn't want to go to Portland, and I don't blame him. Lakers playing the Raptors. I think this is actually a really good spot for Los Angeles. Would I tell you and advise you to bet it? Probably not. But if you do want a bet for the late night game at 6:30, that is probably it. Lakers moneyline. It is an even game between them and Toronto. Might be able to get decent odds. I expect LeBron to play because second night of the back-to-back, Bron's trying to get his game. So I believe Bron will play. I think it's a somewhat manageable spot for Los Angeles. But regardless, we're not going to be covering that game today. First day in a while where I'm just going to skip over a Lakers game. But you know what? I'm sick of them. I'm so sick. No defense. Drew Timme was our best player last night. I can't do it. I can't do it. We're going to have bets for each of the other 5 games on the docket today. And folks, before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily NBA best bets here on the channel. Earlier today, we posted our college basketball predictions. Best bets, excuse me. Those are linked in the description down below. And on Greedo Plays MMA, we already posted our UFC 324 Gagey versus Pimblett full card predictions for the first ever UFC card on Paramount Plus. Go check that out, linked in the description down below. Go subscribe to Greedo Plays MMA if you have not yet. Okay, on to the first now of our 5 best bets today for the association, kicking things off with a player prop, and we're looking at the second of back-to-back games for the Orlando Magic and the Memphis Grizzlies, obviously doing the NBA Europe tour currently, just 2 games over there in Europe, the first of which obviously was that rigged game over in Berlin, Germany a couple days ago, and now these 2 teams are playing in the O2, or at the O2 Arena in London, England. We're not going to pick a side, we're not going to pick a winner in this game because, well, we did that the last time these 2 teams played, and we had Memphis to cover 5.5 points in a game in which they were up by 20+. They ended up not covering because of the classic foul down 5 with 7 seconds to go, because that just makes sense. Anyways, we're not going to be touching a winner here. I mean, I don't think this is going to be as rigged one way or the other. I don't want to specifically call a game rigged, but I don't think the refs are going to be swayed in one direction because, there's 3 German guys, or there are 3 German guys on the Magic. To my knowledge, there's no British players on either team between the Grizzlies and the Magic. Again, they just want to expand the game globally and get Europe, or get, I guess, England a game. We're looking at Jaren Jackson today. That's our first best bet, though. Jaren Jackson over 18.5 points today in London, England. Jaren Jackson dominates that first game in Germany. Now, he did, I don't want to say fall apart in the second half, but wasn't that same dominant force in the second half against Orlando, but still had a really good game. Jaren Jackson scored 30 points in 33 minutes, went 3 for 5 from beyond the arc, and 12 for 22 from the field. Again, a really good game for Jaren Jackson, who has just been such a good player for the Memphis Grizzlies this year. We've seen hot streaks for, a wide range of players on this team. You know how much I've talked about the Grizzlies with guys like Cam Spencer, with Cedric Howard, with Jalen Wells. I mean, these young upstart guys have had their moments this season where they've just been phenomenal for Memphis. But at the same time, you have to have that one all-star and one, again, foundational player. And sure, you can say that's Ja Morant, but with the off-the-court issues from Ja Morant and, I guess, the locker room problems with Ja Morant, the potential trade of Ja Morant, too, can't really rely on him to be your guy. That is Jaren Jackson. Now, I mean, apparently Jaren Jackson, according to Rich Paul, LeBron James' agent, is worth Austin Reeves, and the Lakers should trade AR for JJJ, which, whatever. I think the Lakers' problems are beyond Austin Reeves, and I think he is the least of their problems currently. But that's neither here or there. This is not about the Los Angeles Lakers. This is about Jaren Jackson. I do think he's going to go over 18.5 points. Now, Memphis is supposed to get healthy today. In terms of Ja Morant, looks like he's going to play. He's probably going with that calf injury. Santi Aldama, who did play that game in Germany, is questionable now due to a right calf contusion. They're still without Ty Jerome, who still has not suited up for the Grizzlies this season. Scottie Pippen Jr. is supposed to come back, I think, in about a month and a half. Zach Edey still out for now, and Brandon Clark still out for about a month and a half as well. So the really only re-addition to the team to Memphis today is going to be Ja Morant. Potentially, again, the takeaway will be no Santi Aldama. Regardless, that doesn't really affect Jaren Jackson, and really, to be honest, nothing really affects Jaren Jackson. If anything, maybe Ja coming back actually helps and improves the potential for Jaren Jackson big points, because again, there is the factor of, well, Ja just being on the court, Ja being a weapon, and Ja being a scorer, and as well a passer too. I mean, Morant, again, not known especially for his playmaking, well, in terms of passing the ball and getting assists, but again, him being on the court, him influencing defenses will make the game a little bit easier on Jaren Jackson. I think ultimately the biggest part of this game, though, for Jackson will be the three-point ball. something that we have seen Jaren Jackson continue to evolve as his career has gone on, and something that he's relied on in certain spots this season. Again, this is something that is definitely dependent on the game, I will say, because we've seen games in just this month where Jaren Jackson just completely becomes invisible from beyond the three-point line. Hell, look at the game prior to the Berlin matchup against the Orlando Magic. Jaren Jackson against the Brooklyn Nets went 0 for 3 from beyond the arc and only scored 14 points. So really, his point total from what we've seen this season has really varied with his three-point ball. If we see at least 2 or 3, at least, again, three-pointers made for Jaren Jackson, usually he's going to go over his point total and get into the 20s, or again, we could just take 19 tonight. Essentially, though, I mean, Jaren Jackson's a player. 4 of his last 5 games, he's gone over 18.5 points, 30 points against the Orlando Magic, 3 for 5 from beyond the arc, 12 for 22 from the field. We talked about that mid-game that he had against the Brooklyn Nets. Oddly enough, that was a game in which the Grizzlies won, but then 3 straight games prior to that, 21 points against the San Antonio Spurs, big factor, 5 of 7 from beyond the arc. Game after that against the Suns actually didn't even hit a three-pointer, but still found a way to barely edge out 19 points on 9 of 19 from the field, and then 23 points in 32 minutes on 9 for 14 from the field, and again, 2 for 5 from beyond the arc against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So Jaren Jackson's three-point ability is going to be huge, and it helps as well, I think, a little bit, because we've seen, and I've been very high on Zach Edey this season and the progress he's made in his game, but we've seen the difference in which, and when Jock Landale's on the court and Zach Edey is on the court. Jock Landale, with all due respect, is not a scoring threat. Zach Edey actually is now, well, because he's so tall and because, again, he's got size on guys. So you take away Edey, I know Edey's been out, but legitimately, I think Landale being on the court actually helps the scoring of Jaren Jackson, because you can't rely on a guy like Landale to get points. You're not going to, draw certain plays and written plays for Jock Landale. I think it's a good spot for Jaren Jackson. He's probably going to lead the Grizzlies in points tonight, over 18.5. We're going with, I guess, on the road in London, England for Jaren Jackson Jr. On to our second best bet of the video. We move on now to our first spread play of the day. We're going to do 2 spreads and a money line. Again, I was very tempted to go Lakers money line, but again, they're still banned, man. The Lakers are still banned money line wise until Austin Reeves comes back or some actual changes are made to the roster, because I can't handle that team right now. Anyways, our first spread of the day is going to come with a matchup between the Chicago Bulls and the Brooklyn Nets in the United Center in Chicago, Illinois, and we are going to take the Bulls. We're going to take a Bulls team that is still hobbled some, but against a Brooklyn team that also is not the healthiest. Brooklyn 2 games ago, last game, it does play the Chicago Bulls, and they win the game by 3 points. And usually, again, my mindset is, teams, if they play twice in a row in the same exact location, we tend to take the team that already played well in the first game. There's a reason we're taking the Bulls tonight, and with the points as well, because Chicago is a 6.5 point favorite. Again, the injuries, or I guess the rest, however you want to call it, no Michael Porter Jr. MPJ not being on the court is massive. I mean, he is the Brooklyn Nets this season, and it's something that, Michael Porter Jr. has never really gotten to be a part of. A team, well, he's always been on somewhat of a winning foundation and a winning team, but he's never been on a team in which he's been the number one guy, and the team revolves around him. I mean, we haven't seen that since he was a Missouri Tiger in college, right? Michael Porter Jr. at 26 points per game scored this season. He's been great, and finally the possession ends here. Michael Porter Jr. finally comes through for him, and he's been, again, a phenomenal scorer for this Brooklyn Nets team all season long, but he's not in the lineup today. Michael Porter Jr. has been ruled out due to rest purposes. He's still in Chicago, but the Nets, I guess, have said, well, they're taking the Utah Jazz mindset here. Oh, we've won too many games, and we got to make sure that we don't get close to a play-in spot because we want a pick, and we want to pick high in one of the best draft classes in NBA history. So the Brooklyn Nets, I mean, again, too close to a play-in, I guess, are currently 5 games back of the last play-in spot of the Atlanta Hawks. Brooklyn 12-27 again. I guess that's just too close to comfort for them. So they're making sure they lose this game against Chicago. It's something that, again, I always talk about the Utah Jazz and these lower-level teams. I would hate to be a fan of one of these squads as much as I come on here and bitch about the Lakers. I'd rather be a Lakers fan than be a Brooklyn Nets fan, because your teams aren't trying to win. But again, there is somewhat of a young foundation in Brooklyn, but that's really not the point with this conversation. MPJ's not playing today. The team already won the first half of the back-to-back against Chicago, and they played really well. Michael Porter Jr. played really well. They're not going to play him today. They're not going to play another young player, or I guess Drake Powell. Again, I wouldn't say Michael Porter Jr. is particularly young, but they're not going to play another impact player on this team potentially in Drake Powell. So Chicago should be in line for a big night. The Bulls currently the 9 seed in the Eastern Conference at 19-22. Again, we always talk about the Eastern Conference playing pals, Miami, Chicago, Atlanta. They're there every single year. The Bulls still not 100%. They are nearing the return of Josh Giddey, which is going to be huge for this team. Again, I cannot understate the impact of what Josh Giddey has done for the Bulls this season, but Giddey is doubtful today with a hamstring injury. But you know what? That is a positive sign for Chicago that Giddey is at least approaching a comeback and is going to be back in the lineup soon. Patrick Williams is questionable with an ankle injury. Oddly enough, Patrick Williams has actually been playing slightly better basketball. I know I've kind of gone at Patrick Williams this year because, well, he hasn't played that well for the Bulls, but he's questionable today. And then obviously Zach Collins, another major injury for them. Collins is out for the foreseeable future. I still think what the Bulls have right now are able to win this basketball game. We did take Trey Jones over in scoring in the last Chicago versus Brooklyn game, and that didn't particularly go our way. But you're still going to have Kobe White on the court. Vucevic has played really good basketball recently. Nikola Vucevic has been really good, had the game-winning shot a couple nights ago against the Utah Jazz, scored 35 points in that encounter, just scored 19 in the Brooklyn game in 33 minutes the other day. And I do believe legitimately Michael Porter Jr. not being on the court and the impact he has in that first Chicago game, scores 26 points, plays 32 minutes. I mean, this is a guy who is not going to be up and down. It's not going to be one night, oh, you're going to see 30 points out of Michael Porter Jr., and the other night you're going to see 5. You're going to see this guy consistently every single night take about 20 shots per game from the Brooklyn Nets, and it's been huge, I think, for the young guys on this team too, because they have I don't know if we want to call Michael Porter Jr. a star, but a reliable hand that you know is going to take big shots. When they need a big shot like they did against the Bulls the other night, it goes to Michael Porter Jr. I mean, he is the guy, and he's the guy that I don't want to say that, the young guys look up to, but when they need a big shot, they're going to Michael Porter Jr. So taking him away is massive because, again, you're not going to see stinkers out of MPJ. He's still going to see that same shot volume in every game that he plays. He's going to attempt his 10 3-pointers. He's going to attempt 20 shots from the field. You take that away from a team and see what happens. I don't think the game's going to be close. I think this is going to be a Bulls blowout. I know, again, it is a little bit difficult to pick a Chicago Bulls blowout, especially in the year of 2026, and considering that the guys that they have on the team, especially with their best player in Josh Giddey being out of the lineup, but I do still believe it is a very good spot for them. I think they are going to win this basketball game, and I would expect a cover of 6.5 points. So I'm going to go Chicago minus 6.5 here at home against the Brooklyn Nets. I think it's going to be much different from that first game, and I'm telling you, that one player not being in, Michael Porter Jr., makes all the difference in the world. Give me minus 6.5 for Chicago at home against the Brooklyn Nets. On now to our third best bet of the video. Let's go to our second player prop of the day. And this one gets a little bit tricky, I'll say, for a reason. I mean, if there was no injury, if there was no injury problem at all in this one, I'd be fine. And I think this would be a great bet. And I still think it's a really good bet, as long as he plays. And that's why, at the same time, I think it's a safe one. I'm going to take Tari Eason over 10.5 points. We're going to take Tari Eason over 10.5 in what should be his return game from an injury that's been stemming for about over a week at this point. Tari Eason has not played a game since January 9th in Portland, got injured in that game in the second of 2 straight games for the Rockets over at the Moda Center in Portland, Oregon. He's been out for about 9 days, and he is now listed to likely play. Obviously, there are lines on Tari Eason's availability, and again, he's expected to play this game, but the official status for Tari Eason is that he is questionable with an ankle injury. I would expect him to play, and as of now, we are still getting a line of 10.5 points for Tari Eason. I believe we take the over. Tari Eason so far this year has averaged 12 points per game for the Houston Rockets, but going into the injury, Tari Eason, I guess so far in the calendar year of 2026 and in the month of January, Tari Eason has been a bucket in every game in which he's played, the entire game. Of course, the only game I'm talking about is the only game that's the exception is the game where he got hurt against Portland. He's gone over 10.5 points. Against Brooklyn, 22 minutes, 15 points. Against the Mavs, 19 points in 34 minutes. Against Phoenix, 12 points in 30 minutes. Against Portland, the game prior to his injury, because again, they played 2 in a row, 15 points in 31 minutes. Tari Eason has been a bucket for this team, and again, when we look at player props, we look at potential and shot volume, and that is not lacking at a Tari Eason, who is going to take double-digit shots per game. 18 shots against the Blazers in the game before his injury, 15 shots against the Phoenix Suns, and 17 shots against the Dallas Mavericks. Yes, there might be a minutes restriction tonight on Tari Eason. I wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, too, it's not like this has been a very long injury, and this has been a long, just ongoing one for him that's just been nagging. It's just a week-to-week injury that he looks to be returning from tonight. I don't know if we get a real big minutes restriction then. I think we might see maybe him capped at 25 minutes, 20 minutes. I think it's probably a better estimate. I still think in 20 minutes, Tari Eason's able to score 11 points because of how the Rockets play, and by the way, who they're playing. They're playing the Pelicans. Pelicans, one of the worst teams in basketball. Currently, New Orleans is dead last in the Western Conference. Actually, they are dead last in the entire NBA. Even the Indiana Pacers, who are very clearly tanking without Tyrese Halliburton, have a better record by, all fairness, one loss. They have a better record than the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans are awful. You don't need me to tell you that. I think it's a really easy spot for Tari Eason if he can just get going, at least with that shot. Because this is a player, again, who's going to take at least 6-pointers in a single game. Okay, 3 of those and we're basically fine. Tari Eason averages about 2 or 3 free throw attempts per game. He's going to get to the line once. If he hits 3 3-pointers, we're fine. And again, it's not like his only shot's a 3-point shot. It's the pathway of least resistance for us, obviously. It's the easiest way Tari Eason can get his points, but as well, I mean, we can get middies, we can get layups as well, fast breaks regardless. Obviously, the putback that Tari Eason misses in the first game against Portland would be a shot that is in play for us as well. So I do think we see Tari Eason over 10.5. Again, if he doesn't play, it is what it is. This is just going to void, this is going to push, whatever you want to call it. If he's a DNP, we don't have to worry about it. But I think even if he does play, it is an extremely low line, and obviously the line would not be this low if it wasn't for the injury initially for Tari Eason, but I do believe we're going to be okay in this spot. Again, against the Pelicans team, that is just really bad, and it's a Rockets team too that does kind of miss Tari Eason a little bit. I mean, they have not played particularly well with Eason out. They've been 2-2, losing in Sacramento, winning that game against the Bulls, then losing at home against OKC, and then most recently, though, a big victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves. And by the way, OKC, I know J-Dub gets injured in the game yesterday, but I mean, as soon as we start to hype that team up again, for the right reasons too, right? Beating San Antonio, beating Houston on the road, then they lose on the road in South Beach. I don't know, man. Wiggins hits a big 3 and it is what it is, but Tari Eason likely returns to the starting lineup. Again, I'm not concerned with this being, an injury that holds him out of the starting lineup and they're, going to take a long time to build him back up. He's been out for 3 or 4 games at this point. I think he's going to play majority of the basketball game, and I do believe we're going to get Tari Eason to score. Obviously, rejoining the starting lineup of Amen Thompson, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith, and Alfred Şengün. And now the Rockets are finally back to full health and back to full strength with the Alfred Şengün injury, and now Tari Eason coming back. Houston looks to, I guess, resume their push as they are still 9 games over 500 and currently the 5 seed in the West. How do they only have 1 game on the Lakers? The Lakers are actually, by the way, tied now for the play-in. Are we serious? After that start, the Lakers are really there. Even in days and videos where I say I'm not going to talk about the Lakers and we're not going to involve them, this is unbelievable. They have the same record essentially as the Phoenix Suns. Are we dead ass? Oh man, I hate that team so much. They're going to end up the 7th seed and they're going to have to go to San Antonio and they're going to get swept. I love it. That's so great. Anyways, give me the Houston Rockets. Is Tari Eason tonight over 10.5 points at home. If he plays, should be an easy line. If he doesn't play, it is what it is. We will push. Okay, on now to our 4th best bet of the video. We will go now to our 2nd spread play of the day. Might be a little bit of a tricky one just considering, the games prior to this and the fact that this team played yesterday. I'm talking about the Denver Nuggets. I'm going to go Nuggets minus 3.5 against the Charlotte Hornets. There's a bunch of reasons to this. Main one, Denver is just better than the Charlotte team, and I believe what Denver does is just a higher level of ball than what the Hornets are very good at doing, and obviously we saw that Charlotte monstrous effort the other day against the Los Angeles Lakers, and then what happened when they went to Golden State and played the Warriors. Just saying. It's not like it was a back-to-back, by the way. They played in Los Angeles. LaMelo's pulling threes out of his ass. He's shooting them in the corner, playing like it's street ball. I mean, they're pulling up again from the logo. It's like I was watching LaMelo Ball back at Chino Hills, but no. Instead, he does that in an NBA game. LaMelo, who, by the way, has had a poor shooting year, the worst statistical year in terms of, efficiency in his career, and then he just drops 30 on the Lakers and makes it look effortless. He's talking to the crowd, and it is what it is, It's his hometown team. It's all right. The next night, the Hornets go to San Francisco and then lay an egg against the Golden State Warriors. Because, why not? Why not? They lose 136-116 against Golden State in a game in which DeAnthony Melton actually led the Warriors in scoring. The Hornets just don't show up. LaMelo scores 15 points in 20 minutes. Con Knuppel scores 24 because he's really good. Brandon Miller scores 28, and then everyone else kind of just disappears. Here's the thing, Denver's on a second night of a back-to-back. Charlotte is on a second night of a back-to-back. I think that affects the Nuggets a little bit less. And I understand, I know this is the very injured team, but I think they're fairly healthy in terms of, okay, we know Jokic, Valanciunas, and Cameron Johnson are still out, and Christian Brown did not play last night. And Brown's, always injured, it feels like now. I don't know, has not played since January 9th. What I'm getting to is, I think it's felt like Brown has always been a game away from being back. Okay, now Christian Brown's going to be back, and yet he's just been injured this entire time. I don't know. We know the main injury is still for Denver. You still get Jamal Murray, who has just been absolutely phenomenal for the Denver Nuggets. He's going to work his way into an all-star game this season. In Denver yesterday with a 6-point victory against the Washington Wizards. Why? And I know only a 6-point win over the Wizards, but why did they beat the Wizards? Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray with 42 points in that game for Denver. He was dominant in that matchup. Aaron Gordon also played fairly well as well, posting a near triple-double. And 8, 10, 11 for Aaron Gordon, just didn't score two more points to get that triple-double. But Jamal Murray played phenomenal basketball, 42 points, 15 for 24 from the field, 5 for 8 from beyond the three-point line. Jamal Murray was dominant for Denver, and again, they continue to find guys to just step up. We're looking at Tim Hardaway Jr. coming off the bench and scoring 30 points on 5 for 11 shooting from beyond the arc and 10 for 18 from the field. And Peyton Watson, who's just been phenomenal too, scoring 21 points on 8 of 14 shooting from the field for the Nuggets as well. I think just the back-to-back affects the Nuggets less. Charlotte's coming off of playing a game in San Francisco. They have to travel. And by the way, too, you don't want to end your road trip at altitude. So it's another factor, right? Second night of the back-to-back, I don't really care. Denver's still in Denver. Like, they're still at home for this game. They're coming off a victory. Charlotte, just complete opposites, by the way. Charlotte's on the road. Charlotte's coming off a loss. And Charlotte now has to adjust the altitude. And beyond that, too, you got to adjust the altitude on your final game of your road trip. They opened and closed their road trip at altitude. And sure, the last time they played at altitude was in Utah against the Jazz, where they scored 150 points and shot like 63 pointers. But still, you've been on the road for now 9 days, and it's the second night of the back-to-back, and you got to play Denver, coming off an L. While Denver has momentum, Denver won last night, and obviously the Nuggets are more than accustomed to playing at, 5,280, 5,280 feet. I don't know why I said it, just digit by digit. Regardless, I'm going to be taking the Denver Nuggets in the spot. I do expect most of their guys to play. As of now, obviously, we still do not know anything about the status of Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon, guys who have dealt with injuries, but I believe they're at a point in time with their recovery where they're more than fine to play those big minutes. Obviously, Jamal Murray has put this team on his back, and he's playing 40 minutes per game. And there's no way, I don't think he's not going to play tonight. We've already seen Jamal Murray, by the way, play the second night of the back-to-backs, and the last time Denver was in a situation like this, we took them, right? It was the night after they beat New Orleans in a competitive game, actually, oddly enough, by 6 points, just like the Washington game was. We took Jamal Murray and the Nuggets to go to Dallas and beat the Mavericks, and they did exactly that, winning the game by 9 points. Jamal Murray scored 33. It was a big game for Denver in that win on the road. I'm not really too concerned about this game either. Charlotte, again, they showed up against Los Angeles. We'll see. I mean, they did not show up against the Warriors. It's weird, man. It's weird. It is what it is. It's the story of the Los Angeles Lakers, I guess, right? But Charlotte's a good team. I think they're, I like this young squad with LaMelo, and LaMelo's going to be close to gone soon, I believe. But I like Concanapple. I like Brandon Miller. It's a good team, don't get me wrong. Denver should be able to win this game at home. And I think the biggest thing that I bring about this game, too, is just the differences. One team's playing it up. One team's used to playing at elevation. One team is on the second night of the back-to-back, and they have to play up at 5,280 feet up in the air. Probably not going to go their way, right? I mean, you're already playing on tired legs. Sure, you guys, LaMelo only had to play 20 minutes, Knupp only played 25, but you got your ass handed to you last night over in San Francisco. You got to get on a plane, go to Denver, a team that is better than the Warriors, and I understand the former MVP and one of the best players in the league, and Nikola Jokic is not playing, but you still have to play Denver. You got to play them at altitude, and you've been on the road for so long. We had mentioned, too, Charlotte was stuck in LA for 4 days because they played the Clippers, and the NBA made them wait from Monday to Thursday to go play the Clippers and then the Lakers. So this team's just been on the road for such a long time. Opened up their road trip again on that historic shooting night last Saturday against the Utah Jazz. They've been on the road for quite a bit. I got to go with the Golden State Warriors. Denver Nuggets. I don't know why I said the Warriors. I got to take the Denver Nuggets to win this game and cover 3.5 points. It's one that I think they do run away from Charlotte, and competent teams, beat the Charlotte Hornets. So, like the Clippers and the Warriors. Everyone but the Lakers can beat the Hornets. So, give me Denver, unless Charlotte just has one of those random really good shooting nights, which I don't anticipate. I think Denver takes it. Nuggets -2.5 at home -3.5 at home against the Charlotte Hornets. On to our final best bet of the video, we move to the Golden One Center in Sacramento, California, as we've got the Sacramento Kings taking on the Portland Trail Blazers. I'm going to go Sacramento money line. Guys, I'm going to keep riding the wave of momentum here for Sacramento. I don't know what's happening with the Kings, but I am impressed. I'm shocked. Sacramento now has won 4 consecutive games, and sure, they didn't add another playoff team to their resume, but 4 straight wins for Sacramento, beating the Houston Rockets, beating the Los Angeles Lakers, one of the most miserable experiences I've ever had to dealt with going to a Lakers game in person. That's neither here or there. And then a win against the Knicks at home, and then they pick up another one against the Washington Wizards. Again, Washington not on the level of those other teams, sure, but winning on Friday night against the Wizards give them 4 consecutive victories, and now the Sacramento Kings are at 12-30. Again, they're doing just what they need to do to screw themselves out of a good draft pick. But I know the vets don't care. DeMar DeRozan, Russell Westbrook, Zach LaVine, those guys are just playing to hopefully try out for another team, or at least, again, get the attention of another team so they can actually try to make a playoff push this year. But Sacramento's playing good basketball, and why would that stop tonight against the Portland Trailblazers team that, sure, shot lights out yesterday against the Los Angeles Lakers? Because you know what? Every team shoots lights out against the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, don't get me wrong, the pace, or not the pace, but that game was set, in the precedence of the foul calls was set in the first quarter between the Lakers and Portland, in which, by the way, the Blazers shot 22 free throws in the first quarter. The most, I know it was definitely this season, it might be the most in NBA history in a first quarter. It was the most ridiculous thing I had ever seen. The Lakers couldn't play defense in that game, and the tone was just set right from the jump. You can't touch the Blazers. And by the way, the biggest free throw merchant in the league, Denny Adjeva, wasn't even playing. He was injured, or he's resting / he's injured. And yet the Blazers still got every single call that they wanted. A big factor in this game legitimately in Sacramento will be, is Denny Adjeva playing or not? Because if Adjeva's playing, then I think we will likely see Sacramento at plus money. But guys, it's weird because it's just, Sacramento looks like a different team now. They're all of a sudden playing better defense. Again, it's not great defense, but they're playing respectable defense, and they're actually scoring now, too. Because what the Kings' problem was all year long is, well, okay, they're not a great defensive team, and nobody can shoot the ball. And DeMar DeRozan, wasn't shooting mid-ranges at all, at a great clip, and all of a sudden now, Westbrook's hitting threes, Zach LaVine's playing decent enough, not playing as well as DeRozan and Westbrook are, but Westbrook's playing all right, and DeRozan, man, I mean, the dominant run he's on right now. Again, DeRozan, it's kind of crazy, yeah, DeRozan is an all-time player in terms of, look at the history of the game, the all-time points leaders and whatnot. Yeah, DeRozan is, 18th all-time? I mean, hell, he's 36 years old and he's still putting up 20 points per game, but this last run for DeRozan, or this latest run for DeRozan, last 6 games, 21, 24, 22, 32, 27, and 17 points for DeMar. I mean, he is shooting that mid-range shot with confidence. Yes, he still dribbles the air out the basketball to set up his possession, but he's playing with confidence, and the Kings are playing good basketball. And again, a lot of that has to do with legitimately DeMar DeRozan, which sounds kind of crazy because, we had laughed at what DeMar DeRozan had done prior to just this last couple game stretch. But Sacramento's playing better. I mean, Russell Westbrook has been very complimentary of the energy that Dylan Cardwell has brought this team, but now Domantas Sabonis is back, and all of a sudden, the Kings just do look like a different squad. And you know what? I mean, they shouldn't be 18 games under. Hell, you have Russell Westbrook, which I know it's Russ and, lol Westbrook, but still, Westbrook, LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Precious Achiuwa, Domantas Sabonis, Dennis Schroeder, Malik Monk, Keon Ellis. I mean, once they actually play Monk and Keon Ellis, guys, the team's not that bad. I mean, I don't want to say they're in the same situation as the Clippers, in which, they dug themselves into a hole and now here they are, but, I mean, they are playing solid enough basketball. They're really only 6 games out of the play-in. I don't expect them to try to make a run. But in this specific game, yeah, I think they beat Portland. I really believe so. Blazers shot really well last night, but again, second night of a back-to-back now. And here's another thing, too. Guys, Portland has been very injured. And a lot of their guys just played last night against the Lakers because, of course, it's the Lakers, so everyone's going to play. But Jeremy Grant has been hurt all week. Drew Holiday's been injured. I don't expect those guys to play the second night of the back-to-back. You know how teams approach things. They're going to play, if you're still somewhat injured, you're going to play either the first night of the back-to-back or the second night of the back-to-back. Well, Portland likely burned all their guys on the first game of the back-to-back because it's at home and it's against the better opponent, and obviously it's against LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. So they're going to play their guys, and that's exactly what they did. On the second night of the back-to-back in Sacramento, I don't think they're going to make, Drew Holiday play. Old Drew Holiday's not going to play the second night of the back-to-back. And even, a Jeremy Grant, who's on a big contract coming off the bench, who's actually been productive for this team, is not going to play a second night of the back-to-back. It's a perfect spot for Sacramento, and Sacramento has literally all the momentum in the world off of 5 straight wins, and now they get a chance to add another somewhat playoff team, as Portland is a play-in team, to their streak right now. So I'm surprisingly going to put U.S. currency and U.S. dollar on the Sacramento Kings. It's been something that has actually gone our way as of late, and I'm going to look to it once more. I'm going to go Sacramento money line here at home against the Portland Trailblazers. Let me get the exact line. It is -135 for Sacramento at home. Give me Levine, give me Debo, give me Russ. I'm going to go with the Kings at home, and Sabonis too. I'm going to go with the Kings at home to win this basketball game at -135 to continue their run of somewhat surprising and I guess it's somewhat dominant of play as well. Give me Sacramento -135 to end the night. And no, we are not touching the Lakers, but if we were, it would be Lakers money line, but I'm just disgusted by that team, so I'm going to pass. Folks, thank y'all for watching our NBA Best Bets here on January 18th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily NBA Best Bets. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.